All right, it says we are recording. Fabulous. Thank you for joining me today. I know that it has been a long month of really digging into self-love, and I'm really thrilled that you all have been doing this with me. And so we're going to do something a little bit different for me and a little bit different for you tonight. It's Love Yourself Live. So you get to talk back to me. So please feel free at any point to jump in if you have questions or you want clarification on anything, or just want to share a story that relates to what I'm talking about. That would be great. I did have some tech difficulties, so I'm not going to have my slides for you because I'm on my phone right now, because, you know, the laptop gods just tend to crap out on me right in the worst times. So first, let me go ahead and introduce myself, because I know some of you will be watching this via replay and aren't as familiar with me. I am Colleen O'Connor. I'm the founder of the Brave Council, which is the Facebook group I run for women, and Colleen O'Connor Coaching. I'm an attorney, non-practicing. I read like a crazy person. Maybe I can show you my giant stack of library books right there. And so I read 2 to 4 books a week. I've been like that since I was 4 years old. So that's the great love of my life prior to my partner. Books. I'm a former competitive ballroom dancer, so I do get a little extra and sparkly and excited sometimes, but that's just part of my love of the drama and the spotlight. And then, more relevant to you, I am a Martha Beck trained life coach. And if you're not familiar with Martha Beck, she is Oprah's life coach. So that gives you a good idea. And I would highly recommend checking her out and her books. And really, I'm just totally obsessed with helping women create their best lives ever. I primarily help high achieving women uncover their magic and create lives that they love. And it just brings me so much joy to do that. And now, I would have shown you a picture of some of the joys of my life, but books you saw. I've got some pretty flowers over here. And then I'm also a pretty avid knitter. And so yarn is also a big part of my life. And again, it's color and soft texture and just, you know, getting to be creative is really fun for me. So tonight, we are going to talk about the exact process that I use with clients to help them create more self-love and then in turn create lives that they don't daydream about escaping. You'll get some tips that you can put into practice immediately so that you can start creating the life that you really love today. None of this, you have to wait to love your life. And then you're also going to have the opportunity to be coached by me live and have your questions answered if you do have anything that comes up. And so I'm really excited about that, because I've only ever taught these classes before where you can't talk to me or you can only type in the chat, and that's just no fun for me. So I hope this is more fun for you too. So if you have a particular reason why you're here today, I would love if you want to pop in, tell me about it, or you can stick it in the chat. If you don't want to speak, that's okay. And what I hear a lot from women is that they want more self-love. I mean, if you, excuse me, if you've been doing the self-love challenge, that's probably one of the places you're at. Or you may have been allowing the thought that you're not good enough to hold you back. And I hear that from so many clients. These women who are gorgeous and successful and have these beautiful lives to the outside somehow feel that they're not good enough for their true dreams. And so I work with them a lot. So if you're feeling that, you're not alone. I've certainly been there as well. Or maybe you're here because you need a plan and you heard that I friggin' love a plan and you also want a plan that's going to keep you going on those days when you just don't want to, when you just want to, you know, pull the covers up and snuggle in deep. Yeah, Zoha gets it. And so I help people create those plans that don't get you overwhelmed, that keep you going, keep you making progress, even when it feels really hard. And, you know, sometimes also you just need a little bit more time to focus on you and your needs. And so you thought, okay, this is an hour I can invest in myself. This is great. And then you'll get a support from a coach who's been there. It's me. I've been all of those people. I've had all of those thoughts. I have them still. It's a practice, not perfection. So I'm so excited to be here with you. Oh, Caitlin is tired of feeling small, both physically and spiritually. No, it is not self-loving. Ooh, an amazing plan for your birthday month of May. Yes, let's help you amp up your self-love for your birthday. That is a fabulous gift. I love that idea. I have never felt small physically. So that is when I have not been there, but I have felt conscious of my size. So I think that's relatable to most people. So the framework that we're going to talk about today that I use with clients is dream it, believe it, plan it, and do it. And I don't know if you can see my whiteboard, but it's kind of a cycle. We start with dream it, and then I'll talk about all of these, and we move to believe it and plan it and do it. But at all points, and let's see if I can draw in here and stay in the frame. At all points, in the middle is your self-love, and you have to have that to get through and get moving on any of these. But, they go back and they go toward it, and maybe you're doing it, then you have to believe it because you had a little bit of a rough patch. And so it's a cycle, but it also, I don't know the word, it's not a jumble, but it's not always circular of a cycle. It can have waves and come and go. And so we'll talk a little bit more about each one as we go. And like I said, please feel free to stop me at any point. I do tend to get a little bit breathless when I get excited because I start talking too fast and forget to breathe. So if you miss something or I'm going too fast, just let me know. So with Dream It, that's the first step I work with clients on. And what that is pretty clear, right? You start dreaming about what you want. But I have found that for many of us, dreaming has gotten pushed to the wayside, either because we're a caretaker for kids or parents or someone else, or because we have been that good girl for all of our lives. And so we just checked everything off on the list. And now we realize we don't have that dreaming muscle anymore. We don't know what we really want because it was always laid out for us. Or maybe you had these big dreams, they came true, and you realized, oh wait, this isn't it. That's something that I can super relate to, sitting in DC in an office, having gotten my law degree and looking around and going, oh, this is not what I thought this dream would look like once I achieved it. What next? And so with Dream It, we dig in to activate your imagination. We start thinking about what your ideal life might look like. So that's something that I love to recommend, is sit down and just really think about every aspect of your ideal day or your ideal life, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, and maybe even through the night. Maybe you're not sleeping well, and so a good night's sleep is part of your ideal life. Doing that journal exercise both helps clarify what your current desires are, but it also starts moving those imagination muscles around. It starts getting them moving and working again. And I think you'll start to notice that you start dreaming a little bit more after that. And when I say dream, I don't necessarily mean asleep dreams. These are daydreams too. And another thing that I love to have my clients do is spend like a week either on your phone with a little notebook that's in your purse or wherever you keep your things. And every time you think the words I want or I wish, anything that has a desiring verb, write it down. What is that thing that you want or you desire or you wish you had? An example that I have used before for myself is that I have often wished to be a hermit. in a mountain, like a hermit in a mountain cabin with just unlimited access to books. And now, do I really want that? No, I love people. I would not do well hermiting. I didn't do great at the beginning of a quarantine. But what I did want was maybe more time to myself, where I didn't have responsibilities to other people or a job, or just more time for my hobbies. So even if you think, oh, that's ridiculous, I don't really want that, write it down anyway, because it often will have more information there than just the clear cut, I want to be a hermit. Like, why can't I go live alone in the woods? So you can really, in this first week, if you choose to do this exercise, write it all down. Don't judge it. Let yourself go. And then you can come back and dig in and be like, okay, well, I don't really want that, but what is that telling me that I do want? And along with this is remembering to really pay attention to yourself. And I think that especially with women, we get trained into paying attention to everyone else, taking care of other people, putting other people's needs first, that it seems really selfish to do these things. But you are just as deserving of a full and complete and joyful life as everyone else. And so you need to get back into the practice again of paying attention to yourself. And once you start doing that, you might be surprised by what you see come up. I have, I think since I was like 14, have kept basically a bucket list ongoing in a notebook or on scraps of paper or whatever was around. And several years ago, when I was leaving my home in DC, I was packing everything up, I was selling everything. And so I was going through every little bit of everything. There was this scrap of paper that I had written a bunch of things on, fell off my bookshelf. And so I took a look at it. This was in 2017. And one of the things on this piece of paper, it said like, go to Paris and ride a hot air balloon. And it said, hike the Grand Canyon. And I had no recollection of having ever written that down several years before that. I had, at the time, there was nothing else overly athletic or nature-based on my list. But what was really striking to me was that in 2016, I had hiked the Grand Canyon with my little sister. We had gone backpacking down into the canyon. And so there was an urge there. I had written it down. And I believe that because I paid attention to that urge, even though it didn't make sense for the rest of the stuff that I was doing or the rest of my desires, I acknowledged it. I gave it a space on my piece of paper on my bucket list. And so then when my sister, who loves camping and backpacking and all of that, really wanted to share this with me, and we decided on a place to go, my brain knew that the Grand Canyon was right because I had paid attention, I had acknowledged it, and so it was there. So as you're getting started, those are the things I would highly recommend. Pay attention to yourself. Keep this running list of the desiring action verbs, the I want, I wish, why can't I? Those things are going to be really great. Think about what your ideal life would be like. And don't just think about it. Write it all down. Let it all out. And so then you have this record and you have this place to go back and look and see, okay, I wrote all of this stuff down. Now, is this really what I want? Or can I have these right now? What is standing in my way? There's so much that comes out of this exercise after doing it, but first you have to do it. You have to decide what it is that you want. Another thing when you're writing down the I wants and I wish, Zoha, yeah, please.
I just had a question around like almost like the beginning of the dreaming, because I find sometimes that I do feel myself going, oh, I want this thing, or I wish I could just XYZ. But I also find that I will sometimes immediately almost clamp the thing down and like try to bring it back down to earth, quote unquote.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
be
almost
realistic.
like, yeah, like I almost like I almost make the dream smaller and smaller and smaller until it just like disappears and like doesn't have room to exist. So do you have any like advice or tips or anything around like even just allowing those things to have space and not like judge them to death or like, you know, squash them to death because they're not like realistic, quote unquote, or whatever?
Yeah.
Just wondering about that.
So do you find that it's an automatic process, or is this something that you're consciously doing? Not necessarily
It's
consciously bringing it smaller, but are you sitting down and thinking about the dream and creating this process?
Yeah, so I'll for example, like right now my husband and I live in a one bedroom apartment and I'm
Mhm.
dreaming of like a three bedroom where we have a bedroom, we have like, you know, room for guests, we have room for our offices and um and sometimes I'll just go on like Trulia or
Sure.
Redfin and just kind of like dream through those apps. But
Mm-hmm.
I also find myself sometimes like when I do that, it's almost a subconscious thing where I'll literally start filtering my dream. So I'll be like, oh, it's okay. Like, we don't have to get pets. So they don't have to allow dogs and cats. So I'll take those filters off and then I'll be all like, okay, well, if it isn't a three bedroom, like maybe we can get a two bedroom and I'll take that filter off. So it's literally like a subconscious process
Mm-hmm.
as I'm looking at the apartment and then looking at the price of the rent
Right.
and doing this thing where I'm like, no, I can't afford that. Like, we can't do that. And I start just bringing it back, bringing it until it's just like, no, we'll just stay here in this apartment forever.
Okay. Yeah, I totally understand that because sometimes dreams do feel impossible where we are right now, right? Um, so one of the things I would recommend, I would do the exercise of writing it all down. So you've got the big dream in a place that you can go back to and go, oh
Mm,
yeah, a two bedroom that doesn't allow cats or dogs, that's not my dream.
yeah.
That was, me going back. And we'll talk more about this in Believe It and a little bit in
Awesome.
Plan
Yeah.
It. But it's also okay to allow your dream to have phases or to have steps. You don't
Mm,
have to, especially when we're having trouble getting started or the dream feels out of reach because we haven't overcome the mindset part of it yet. It's okay if the next place you move to is a two bedroom that doesn't allow pets. And
yeah.
then maybe it's a three bedroom that does.
Hmm.
It doesn't all have to happen at once. And so if it is
Yeah.
easier for you to believe and to start taking action toward the dream that's a little bit smaller, that's okay. But have the big dream for someday.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. That makes so
You're
much
welcome.
sense to me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because it's almost like exercising a muscle in a
It
way,
is.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is, you know, just about everything I do, I refer to as a practice
Mm,
because I'm not perfect at any of this. No one I know is perfect at any of this. And so we have to adjust, just like working out. The first day, you're not going to go run a marathon. You'd probably actually die if
yeah.
you try to do it with no training. But if you ran, if you got that 6-month training plan and you ran the miles you were supposed to run and you did the things you were supposed to do, you would get there eventually. And it's
Yeah.
okay to set interim goals or interim dreams while you're getting to the big one.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Awesome. All right. Oh, I was going to add one last thing to Dream It, which is when you're writing down the things that you want, pay attention to what you're jealous of, especially in a time of social media where we're frequently seeing other people's curated lives. What is it that you get jealous of that triggers you a little bit, that makes you a little bit sad that you don't have? And pay attention to that because jealousy can be a negative emotion for sure. We don't want it to make us feel bad, But if you instead use it as information, as saying, oh, she has the freedom to travel when she wants to, or she has the most amazing, shoe wardrobe, whatever it is, you can start gathering that information and bringing it into your dream notebook or your dream list, and then deciding, okay, what is it that I really, just like the things that we're telling ourselves that we want that may not be accurate, you can say, okay, do I really want to be, a digital nomad and not have an actual home, or do I just want to be able to go on vacation more often? So pay attention to where jealousy strikes too. I find that especially if you have not been dreaming for some time, I find that jealousy can provide a lot of information and show you that that imaginative woman is still in there. She's still thinking about what she most wants. All right, so I'm going to move on to believe it. I keep turning to look at my whiteboard, but I think here it is. So believe it is one of the more crucial and difficult parts of the process. And I say that it's crucial because it plays into every single part of this. I think, like Zoha just talked about, she has a bigger dream, but then she starts talking herself out of it because, it doesn't seem like she can get it right now because, God, the rents in her city are just out of control. But, but then there are some people who would be in the same position and be like, I'll figure it out. I got this, no problem. Let's just find the right place and then we'll make it work. And maybe for you, it's going to be somewhere in between. But getting your mind right is really going to allow you to make more progress on these dreams, because you can have the dream, you can have a great plan, and you can feel motivated in the moment. But then if you don't believe in the dream and your ability to achieve it, that's when you're going to start to falter on following through with the plan. Let me see if I can pull up my nope. Okay. One of the best things that you can do with believing it feels, at least to me, I remember when it felt incredibly cheesy and it felt ridiculous and way too woo, is affirmations. And when I recommend folks start working with affirmations, what I like to have them do is come up with one for themselves that feels either already true or almost true. Because if you start with saying, oh, I'm going to buy a $3 million beach house next week, you probably won't believe that. But if maybe you believe that you can start saving more and that you're good with your money, if you currently believe that, you're kind of crappy with money. So you can take these negative thoughts and turn them around into more positive thoughts. And if you use them every single day, your brain starts to believe them. Because what happens is this is not a scientific term, but we build ruts in our brain, like all those little wrinkles. Every time we think a thought, it creates kind of a little rut. And then the next time we think that same thought, it's a deeper rut and deeper rut and a deeper rut, which is why we find ourselves thinking things about ourselves that we thought when we were kids or 20 years ago. We're like, why? I know that's not true intellectually, but why do I still feel like it? It's because your mind believes it's true because you said it to yourself so many times. So the affirmations will start helping you come out of that rut. And also, when you think about, as you're going along, paying attention to the things that you want, pay attention when you're saying to yourself, I can't do that. That's not realistic. Like, sometimes it's automatic that the mean girl, that the judgmental voice pops into your mind. And if you can pay attention and even just notice that thought, it's awesome if you can write it down. that you had it. But even if you just go, oh, I just thought I'll never lose weight, or I'll never find a good partner, or whatever it is that you're telling yourself, even if you just notice it and reflect yourself, I just had this negative thought, that kind of pops the rut up. It starts refilling it in because you're noticing it without it being automatic. And so you're telling yourself that's not an automatic truth. And then when you put these affirmations on top of it, it helps build your rut back out. You get out of that rut and you start building a new positive one. So that's the most basic place I have people start with mindset, because I think for a lot of us, it has become so ingrained to be hard on ourselves. We put tons and tons of pressure on ourselves, and we think, no, that's just what I have to do because I expect a lot of myself, or I want big things. So I have to be kind of mean to myself in order to get it, because otherwise I'm just lazy. And there's many things to pull out of that statement, right? But think about the I'm just lazy part. If you can notice that it's there, stops being automatic, and say to myself, I'm really disciplined when I care about my goal. You know, there's an affirmation. So you can start noticing your I'm just lazy thought. You can add an affirmation on, and you're going to start getting out of that high pressure cooker situation. Because I think, you know, we all have had moments where, yeah, we got stuff done under a lot of pressure, but that never feels good. At least not for me. Maybe other people feel good doing it, but I haven't met that person yet. So if you can be kind to yourself and still achieve your goals and dreams, why not do it that way? Isn't it going to feel a lot better? And believe it, also in that same vein, really comes back to the self-love. And that's why I focus so much on self-love in the group with my clients, in, you know, the content I produce. Because once you have your self-love game on point, once your self-love is so high, you're not going to have nearly as many of those high pressure, negative, mean girl thoughts, because you're not going to speak to yourself like that, because you're someone that you love deeply. And so believe it is mindset, but mindset is intertwined inextricably with self-love. And so I really encourage you to go back, do the self-love exercises, keep them going. You know, if you're having a hard time with them, start small with gratitude, because gratitude changes your attitude. You know, so you can start to shift things for yourself just by focusing on the good in you and the good already in your life. And another tip there that I use for people in the believe it stage is adding joy to your everyday life. And you may think, well, that's not really anything to do with my mindset. It's like, yeah, it really is. Because like I just said to Zoha with her question earlier, you don't have to achieve it all immediately. You can start to love your life and have a life that feels better to you right away. And one of the ways that we do that, and I'm always like, I want you to have immediate relief. And yes, do I wish I was a genie and I could just grant you all of your wishes? Absolutely. But I can't. And I am yet to find the magic lamp with the genie in it. So one of the best ways to start believing in your dreams, to start believing in yourself, to up your self-love, is to add small joys to your life. That can be whatever it is for you. Make a joy list. You may already have done. I think that we did that in the first week of the Love Yourself Challenge. You know, for me, it's making time to read, it's making time to knit, it's making time for my partner, it's having fresh flowers in the house because I love them and I enjoy the process of picking them out. I enjoy the process of arranging them and getting to look at them every moment. You know, I have a lovely candle on my desk because I love the smell and it's beautiful. I have my Costco sparkling water These don't have to be huge things. But if you've been denying yourself pleasure, if you've been denying yourself joy because you think that you have to earn it, or that you're not worth it, or that you need to do more in order to get it, of course you're not enjoying your life. Of course you don't feel motivated to make it better, because it feels so overwhelming to take something that feels completely like shit and make it feel completely like gold. But if you can just start taking little bits and adding the gold, you'll start to see the places that they sparkle. See, my metaphors even have glitter. and you start to notice that. You're like, okay, I did that. I bet I can do this other thing. So that is a lot, but noticing your negative thoughts, adding affirmations, adding joy to your life, really, focusing on your self-love. Those things are all going to really help you move through the believe it phase once you have your dreams set. And it may even help you, like I said, go back to the dream it phase and go, oh wait, I didn't dream big enough, or I didn't allow myself to really believe in this dream, but now I can. And then you can go for it. So that's believe it. And then plan it and do it are a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go quickly through those, and then we can get to some more Q&A and what's next. But if questions do pop up, please feel free to stop me. So for plan it, I just adore a plan. So this is one of my favorite parts. But I have two main things. One is that stating a goal, writing it down, and sharing it with someone means that I don't have the statistic in front of me, but it means that you're like 40% more likely to achieve it. What did Caitlin? Oh, new person, come on in. So there was a study at Harvard telling us how much more likely you're going to achieve your goal if you write it down and you share it with another person. Make sure that when you do this, they're a person that you can trust to support you and be a cheerleader on your team. You don't want to take that vulnerable step of sharing a dream or a goal with someone who's going to shit on it, right? So if it's a best friend, a sister, you could share it in the Brave Council, you can share it with a coach or a teacher, share it with someone who you know has your back, and say, that's an awesome goal or dream for you. I can't wait to help you. Let me know what I can do to support you. So that's your first step. And that's simple, even if it's not easy, right? It may feel very vulnerable to take that step, but you'll have just done all this believe it stuff. And so it's going to be a little bit easier than it was, before you did that. And then the other big thing I have clients and I do for my own plans are turtle steps. And this is a Martha Beck term where you brainstorm all the things that you think you need to do to get to your dream or your goal. When I was starting my business, it was like, have a website and find an email provider and, become a corporation, all of these things. And so I wrote everything down, and then I broke it down further. So instead of just have a website, it was like, find a domain name, choose a domain name. Is that domain name available? Buy the domain name, register the domain name. So you break it down into the smallest step that you can. And the benefit of this is that, yes, your list will be far longer, but you have that master list and you put it somewhere where you can't see it so that it's not always overwhelming you. And then every day, every week, whatever time you have set aside, you take that master list out. You say, what one thing can I accomplish today off of this list? And you just pick one. Because once that one is done, you can pick more if you still feel good and you still feel like you're motivated and able to accomplish even more that day. Or a week, whatever time frame is good for you. Because what I don't want to happen is to have you be raring to go. It's like the first day of a new exercise plan for someone who hates to exercise. So me, like, oh, I can do it and I'm going to run 3 miles. But no, that's just not likely. I'm probably going to fail at that because it's too much too soon for me. But if I break it down, I can put my shoes on, I can put on my baseball cap, go outside, like I can walk around the block. I can keep going then if I want to, but I've gotten out and I've started moving. And so it's the same thing with any goal. Break it down into these tiny turtle steps, because even a tiny turtle step is progress. You're still moving forward. You're still that little bit closer to your goal. And you can always do a bunch of turtle steps in a row. So that's the biggest thing I have for Plan It. And it's really the biggest thing I have for Do It too, because you're going to stay motivated if you're consistently making progress, especially consistently making progress that you can see, which is why I like to have that big list. I can look back and go, oh, look, I've done all of these things already. There are still more to do, but they're manageable. I can absolutely do these. And Do It as well, I highly recommend having your squad. Have those couple of friends or family members or your coach or whoever it is there for you so that you can reach back and say, I'm having a shit day. I don't know if I can do this. And they'll say to you, we think you can do this. What do you need in order to do this? And then you do it because you've got people who have your back. And if you need help finding those people, raise your hand in the group, in the Brave Council group. There are so many incredible women in there who would be thrilled to be accountability buddies or to be cheerleaders for you as you're going along. You can work with me. You can reach out to your friends, have a group text, get on there with your sister, whomever it is, and just really allow yourself to be supported and lifted up by the people around you. Because that's what's probably going to keep you going when it's hard. Along with that, and this is something we just talked about recently in the Love Yourself Challenge, is being really clear on why you're going after this dream and this goal. Have those reasons written down. Have them very clear. Maybe you've got a little vision board or you have a Post-it with your reasons written down. Have a visual reminder somewhere that you can see it when you're going to need it to keep you going forward. Because, on any given day, so I did run a marathon many years ago. And on any given day, I didn't want to do the training run. Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to run in the winter in DC did not sound like, or in the summer in DC did not sound like fun. So, but I had reasons why I wanted to do the marathon. I had that goal. So I knew that because those reasons mattered to me, I would keep going and I would get out there and do the training run. So it doesn't matter what your reasons are. What it matters is that they are meaningful to you. And so find those reasons that are meaningful to you, have a visual reminder of them, have your squad share those reasons with your squad if you want to, and don't be afraid to reach out and ask when you're needing help. And hopefully, once you and your friends or your cheerleaders have gotten into a groove, they'll be able to see it in your face or hear it in your voice and just say, okay, it's your turn to be lifted up. What is it? We've got you. And that's going to make a huge difference. I know it can be really hard to ask for help, but that is a vulnerability that's going to pay off 1,000-fold. And if you need help getting there, let me know. We'll work through it. All right, so if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or pop them in the chat. I am gonna, and if you don't, we're gonna talk about how you can work with me, because I'm very excited. I have 3 spots open for one-on-one coaching right now. And so I can't wait to fill those with 3 new amazing women who are ready to create some magic and find, you know, their dream lives. It's going to be so, so good. If I can pull up, I will send everybody a link to the recording, so you'll have all of this information. You can go back at your leisure. So like I said, the tech difficulties means I can't share my slides. But if I were sharing my slides, you would see a lovely little picture of me with my former client, Lisa, who says in her testimonial after we worked together, by the time I finished working with Colleen, I felt like I was alive and free again in ways I hadn't felt in years. She helped me see how I could fully love myself, and I got the courage to restart living my life on my own terms, which included traveling to Bali for a 2-month solo adventure. So yeah, I was extremely jealous and I was her life coach. But Lisa did amazing stuff and is no longer in Bali, but has since found the love of her life instead and started a new adventure with him. And then I've got another one from Jenny who talks about taking steps to do those things that she used to think were only for one day and you just aren't doing them. She found the person within herself, the one that doesn't just accept things as they are and that goes out and does the things they want to do, the person that lives an interesting and unapologetic life, which I always love, which included a kicking the job to the curb when it was literally taking over her whole life. So she found a different way to have a career that she loved that didn't demand all of her time. So life-bringing. Solo international trip is officially going on your wish list. Yes, I highly recommend it. I've done many. It's so fantastic and really is a really wonderful way to discover new things about yourself. And I think that you will probably come back from it just with your self-love tank really, really full. So I highly recommend it. And then my most recent former client, Teresa, I'm going to read you hers too. So she and I worked together when I was focusing fully on single women, but we did a bunch of stuff that's really just exactly what I do now. So self-love, creating the life that she really wanted, and that ended up creating a relationship. When I first started working with Colleen, our work primarily focused on building the life I dreamed of as a single woman. However, shortly after we began working together, I started dating the man of my dreams and quietly freaked out and began to come up with ways to sabotage the relationship. Colleen talked me off the ledge several times and worked with me to accept that I not only deserved to be happy in a healthy relationship, but that it was okay to have feelings of sadness at relinquishing my singlehood. I've never been happier, and it's thanks to Colleen's supportive coaching and occasional tough love. Yeah, I like to refer to myself as like the big sister kind of coach, where I'm gonna love you and adore you, but I'm also not gonna take any of your bullshit. So there's a little bit of tough love if you want to sit and wallow in your sad story that you're telling yourself. We'll have pity parties. Absolutely. I am fully on board with pity parties. They can only last usually a day. And then we're going to get started. So like I said, I have 3 one-on-one spots available. And I work with women who want to uncover their magic, who want to create lives they really love, figure out they really want, realize how worthy they are and how much they really deserve that life. I think I just missed a chat. Someone to kindly kick your butt. Yeah, kindly kicking butts is one of my superpowers. Although my actual siblings probably may not agree that it's so kind. And yeah, so I help women create this unshakable sense of self-worth. And it's what we talked about with Believe It. Once you have that unshakable sense of self-worth, once your self-love cup is so overflowing, you're going to feel unstoppable and like you can do anything, and you can. So what you get when you work with me is a customized 6-month one-to-one coaching package. And we do 3 one-hour calls a month. And your 4th week with me each month is a personalized challenge. So I give you a personal challenge to go out into the world or into your computer or wherever it is so that you can implement what we've been working on. And so you're always learning and working and practicing, but then you get like real life challenges to go after it. And then I also offer Voxer text support during my business hours, pre-work, so you get started even before we get on our first phone call, and then whatever you need. I often create new worksheets or direct you to other resources. So that's always super fun. And if you apply today, and then if we end up working together after you've applied, you also get a self-love day. And so this is also really custom to what you want, but it's basically a VIP day at, a beautiful local hotel or Airbnb, the spa treatment and self-love treats. I love to send self-love boxes out to my clients. So that's the bonus that I'm offering when people apply after this class. And your investment for this, if you pay in full, is $4,997. And I also offer a 6-month payment plan. It's a $1,500 deposit when you enroll, followed by 5 payments of $725. And so that is how you can work with me. And I will send the link with the recording because I don't know how to put it in the chat. Yes, the self-love day does sound dreamy. I did one for myself recently and it was the best. I did not stay overnight in a hotel, but other than that, I did that back in August. I took a self-love weekend because I just needed to be away from Jeremy. As much as I love him, I also love solo time. So if either of you have any questions, or was there anything that I can coach you on? We've got a little bit of time and I'm happy to stay on if you would like. And you can always reach out later if there's nothing else coming up. Nope, good. All right. Let me figure out how to stop the recording.